Hello and welcome. It's the 30th day of May, 2020. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. This video is going to go over Bitcoin, and then I'm going to go over some altcoins. A lot of interesting movements. Ethereum's big, but it's pretty much the same as like the Dash and the Litecoin and such. PivX with an interesting move. Theta continuing to pull back. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to go over the timeline of Bitcoin. So I'll go back to Bitcoin after all those altcoins. As far as the daily time frame of Bitcoin is concerned, and this is the only time frame I'm going to show at this point is just the daily. Because I really think that's all that's needed. I can just scroll back and just show you key moments. I'm going to show back even before, later on. But the pattern of the higher lows that I've talked about most certainly in play as I'll call it the Rudy Gobert lows, just give it a name, as I've been naming it the whole way through, is higher than this one, and we've yet to even have any kind of real retracement since then. We've had the support here, the support here. Will we break down and test a retracement from this low to this high? Maybe. We have the opportunity. As you can see, there's a big down move here to possibly stop the uptrend, which it did on May the 10th, rallying up to a lower high. But here's this opportunity from as it broke down from May 20th, really down to May 24th, and even the possibility is still not looking that strong on the 26th. So the opportunity to fill some of this empty space that we see here, but it didn't do it. It managed to have a nice 2-day rally up 4% one day and 4% the next. Yesterday, pausing the 18 highs with time, and so far doing the same so far. So very productive as I'm looking at this setup. It still has to break clearly above this resistance, and clearly above this resistance, it just matches that previous one for the year-to-date high at around high 10,300 level. And then really clearing about that level, that 10.7-ish or so, and then we can talk about maybe a fast break up to 12,800, and of course larger after that. So that is the Bitcoin. As far as Bitcoin Cash is concerned, and this is against Bitcoin, a lot of these coins have been in downtrends for most of this year. The attempts in here to get this thing going most certainly failed on the start of April. I mean, all this has done is flatten out, and even right now, it still has to get like a decent game to about like the 27 handle from 26. So we're going to need at least a 4% further gain from this stage right now for this to even say that it's going to have an attempt to make a reversal of trend. As far as Dash is concerned, playing around with this Fibonacci line. I haven't looked at these charts. I'm kind of doing this raw. As far as I've looked at Litecoin, but within this, we have resisting, supporting, maybe holding and staying above. If I say supporting, possibly. But same thing, we got to get above these highs, 86, 87 handle. When we see that, now it's going to be a real attempt. And if it does so, we'll be looking at resisting, really between these lines around like 90, the 10 even handle, up to about that. Yeah, I got these Fibonacci in here, but it really is a Fibonacci fail in this area here, given that it pierced below here, which you don't normally be like, okay, yeah, I should do mathematically either or. I just say normally you don't see much. This is the odd time I do see it here. And thus, it just went astray. I mean, it congested at this line. So, I mean, you can take it for what it's worth. It had a perfect hit here, and it's really having a perfect hit at this level right now. So, at this level, yeah, congestion. So, if it does rally, and back in this congestion area, which is 10, a little north, a little south of it. And let's move on to, let's go on to Litecoin. So this daily chart, it's starting to show more signs of the other one. It's barely gotten above this high. It's that high is not seen since it was breaking down from May 9th and 10th. And it was breaking down from there. All it did was have this small move in here. And I'm going to show this on two different time frames because this is still significantly lower, higher rather, than the 2017 lows in Litecoin. And it had this, I mean, when you look at this decline from the 2018 highs, big move down, this failed breakout, but a good one for trading, though, getting some gains back and forth. And then the continuation decline since June of last year. So we've been in basically close to a 1-year decline. And overall, it's been the high of the last time it's been high in price is really December of 17 rather. Therefore, it has been 2.5 years in a declining mode with just this failed breakout, and a pretty good one again, this tiny failed breakout in here back at the start of our year. And this is levels not seen in quite some time. Taking a look at this on the single-hour term time frame. When these things are ready to go, they just go. We could see in here how this has, and even this congestion period over the last few hours has been very productive. And as far as seeing this more long-term, I'm going to put the Poloniex chart in. That's a Y, not a T. And there's Poloniex, because it's got more data. And Bittrex would probably work too. So if I go in here, look at the weekly chart, still with long term, it's breaking, still in the breakdown stage below the 18 lows. 18 lows coming up to 53 handle, up to about the 60 handle. And even then, it has to even really get above the 78 to even consider any kind of decent bullish trend, especially when you look at this on the monthly, which might be a good time to do that now. And here's the lows from 2017. So there's a continuous decline in here. This low is, from what I remember my data, is not real, but this high is. Meaning, it might have been instant tick if you had buy orders, congratulations, but that's all it would have been. There was no real big price going down to this low in here. But the high was July of 2015, and it didn't break out until almost 2 years. So it's been the same sort of long decline. As you look at it, you can say, hey, this looks very bearish for further decline. And maybe there might be. In that we have this level, and I'm trying to get the drawing tool, and I have to push this. These are the quick buttons I use. This does a line. This does a rectangle box, which I don't use too much, but I put it on there. This is the brush that I use, and this just crosses, takes it off. So I go to the brush, and then I just draw my little line in here. As we can see, it's resisting, and we've had this low as well, and we can see that it's resisting in here. So then I might go like this if I want to move the screen. I can draw a box like this, and and I have to push this twice too. Sometimes I'll push a line once and we'll do something stupid, but there's a line. And not just drawing whatever, just to do it. And I usually just keep this out of sight where I can see it as well as I'm just doing now. So as it goes, when these things go off, they go. So we had back in this early stage big rally here going from 52 handle up to 3,000, or about a 6x move. And then this goes from the 331 handle to really close to the 2100 handle. That's about a 7x move. And then this little one in here. I mean, all the failed breakouts that I've been taking about have been fantastic. We have this one, this comeback rally. We have this one here, the one I was talking about recently, then this not so good one, we'll call it the shitty one, because I'm going to be using that term later on as far as Bitcoin being a shit coin, and that'll be back in previous times. Of course, I totally feel much so about fiat currency that way, but anyway, when it's ready to go, I feel that that's going to be the case. And as I've been stating, I'll get to that in the Bitcoin chart in a bit, I think it's going to be happening, and this I'm going to need multiple charts as well. So let's just use the Bittrex one because it's got better long-term data. And you want to talk about when charts are ready to go, they go. Well, let's take a look at early 2017 on this baby. Yeah, right here. Here we have this thing trading at like 700 Satoshi. Where do we go up to? Oh, 144,000. And it did it pretty damn fast. This month was up 2,000% in March of 2017. I got into this chart. I bought in first, roughly around here as it was breaking out. And I got out right near the top. And if you look at my videos, I call the top really well. No, I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not always, sometimes I'm dead wrong with it, but I mean, I've actually had a lot of good situations. I see good volume today on a nice little breakout. It's been showing a lot of strength recently amongst the 18 average of highs. And if you're looking at these little lines, I mean, you get your sell orders, and congratulations. Haven't been much for profits lately since this day, but you have your sell orders in here, and now you got your buybacks, and really you can't do much here. And whatever. If you're ratio trading this with something else, it depends on what it's doing if you're going to buy and sell it. Then you got some buys in here. So basically what that could mean is when you were selling up in here, you weren't able to buy any of that back here, but you were here. So maybe you sold at like 3,700 with a buyback at say 2,900 or 2,800, and well, you can see, you got your buyback at 28, 29 in here, or whichever numbers that obviously were buy orders below the 3,400 down to 28 would have been filled. And at this stage now, if you bought at 28, we've already seen this go up to 43, and maybe you've got a seller that's been filled. Maybe you're not going to buy it back till whenever, but as it goes, that's just how it plays. And will this thing be ready for a big break? Time, of course, will only tell. Let's take a look at this on the daily time frame way back when, on that time frame in 2017. Because that was when it was just a phenomenal situation. And then you can see just the type of moves that it can have when it's ready to go. This was the spot before this was, and it was showing a lot of higher highs and higher lows amongst the 18 average. It had a failed breakout in October of that year. And think about theta right now. This went from 541 to 23. So these things will just have its moves. And this is the type of stuff I'm hoping. Theta will be the next chart I'm showing. But this is exactly what I'm hoping happens with theta, maybe. You have this first move that we had like a few days ago. Then your correctionary move, making a higher low. Hopefully in my case like this, a deep higher low. So now this is showing strength at the 18 average of highs right here for a few periods. And then you have this day, which in itself, I mean, the volatility was just sick back then. This day was 57%. And then you look at the comeback day, 24% down the next day, then up 41. And then even in here, you can see the line, the price action closed at 1590-ish or so, and it went back to 1220. So there's like a 350-point decline, which is like a little over 20%. And if you sold here, you got another chance to buy back, and then here it's break. So now we had this establishment of this resistance at 1730 once, twice, and there's the showing strength for 3 consecutive periods at the highs, and there's your good breakout day at 46%. And there's again establishing resistance, this case at 3000. Now your breakout established more at 43. You come back. Yes, you come back to where we came from here on March the 5th, and then boy, do we go up high. Huge moves. You basically go from 35 up to like 14,000, like 5 days, 2 days of correction. And then a huge surplus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight days. Like 10,000, and even 6 days when you include this high. 10,000 to like 95,000, like a 9x move. And then you correct this through time, and there was the top. So, and overall, when you're talking about going from 1,200 to 180,000, that's like a 15x movement. That's, of course, what these cryptos are capable of doing. And it's down, way down towards these big lows. Will we have big moves back up higher? The potential is there. I mean, this coin could go to nothing and be a literal shit coin that fails. And there's probably going to be a lot of there's like, sarcastically speaking, 1 billion coins out there. I think it's like 3,000 or 4,000 if you look at coin market cap. It's just big. So in this, it's been nothing but down since its highs, like 163,000 down to 38. 16,000 is 10x. 1,600 would be 100x, which means this is like a 50x decline since the low. But we're still technically higher lowing this low. And if I want to just take a look at this while I can in a better log scale, we can see here, it looks a lot different. I mean, that's the moves in here are more coordinated, or whatever word you want. We can clearly see, I got these lines in here, but this high to this low, that's a 61.8% correction. I can tell just by looking at it. And whether the 61.8 is 38 is piercing extra, so be it. Yeah, it might be resisting and going lower. That's still possible. But if I see this thing break to 69, this thing could easily be like 3x move, like in no time. So yeah, that's PivX. I got a lot more to cover. Let's go to H bar has been annoying for me. I haven't been liking that one. Just missing all my targets left, right, and center. But hey, you know what though? We got the breakout above here, already broken this resistance. So you can say, hey, I'm long here with the stop. I'm hoping we'll see how this goes. As we can see here, this line was a big place where I wanted to sell. I wasn't able to. And even a couple of buys I wasn't able to get. Kind of frustrating, but you know what? It is what it is. And theta. I gave the numbers out, and they were, wow, they've been fantastic at 4,000, 3,000. And the next one, like I stated, it's like 2,000. It was actually like 1,900. So you can even expect like even 1,800 could possibly happen. But it really looks like that's going to be the case. Even though this hit the line, it wasn't established at this point because it was established after we hit this line, which was a 23.6% correction. And a straight down move to it, a very little bounce, very small bounce at that support area, and it's sure large break. Here's a case where another rare pierce less, which occurred on this correctionary move. A perfect hit here. And then since this point here, it's been lower volatility, but consistently making lower highs along the way. It has had very little success. Every single time it has managed to get above the 18 average of highs, or to the highs. We had the situation on May 29th, start of the day, New York time, and it resisted and it pierces to the lows. But it supports it. We've had a lot of the support in this general area, but we can see here. I'm going to do this and draw another line in here. that the move that we've had here at resistance has most certainly been this area of support. So we've already seen a bearish indicator, a bearish statement happening or occurrence take place. Another situation here, 9 a.m. on May 29, trying to get above the highs and a very quick rejection, not supporting the 18 lows at all. In fact, resisting it, and there's your breakdown period. And it hasn't done much since the breakdown, but it has still in a bearish situation, meaning as it was breaking down below the support within this 20 and 21 hour time frame in the area of depending on how you want to look at this low or this low, but you're looking at around even 32.15 or like 31.53, that it looked like sure that not only should we make a move to this low, which it did, but potentially could even be lower. We have seen the resistance here. Again, the instant rejection. I'm seeing weakness on the 18 average of lows, and I am expecting this now to break through, and then I'll put the new line in because it's live. It's 2000, it's 1900, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes lower than that. Roughly around here, and we can see does this coincide here with put a line in here around 18, I think it was, even 19, right around here. We can see, yeah, and that's exactly why I wouldn't be surprised if it pierces extra. We support, this is previous high, but even this general here, it could even be 1560. And you've seen the same sort of deal with PivX. It could just follow the exact same type of pattern. Wouldn't surprise me, especially because we don't have any type of dartboard rally where pretty much everything's going up together, which was the occurrence back in March March, April, into May for most coins. It was just a beautiful happening. Okay, so yeah, that's the Theta coin. Back to Bitcoin. Nothing else happening? Not really. Oh man, PivX. I mean, I really want this to go. GRS, if this thing could just go at any given time, it is. I'm not going to show it in this video, but it is so due for a monstrous move. Back in this day, and even before this day, because I can remember when this was, how it broke out before. And I know there's another chart that shows it, but it's kind of irrelevant for what it's worth. Yeah, I called this a shit coin. I looked at it like a fiat currency. It ain't real. It's costing all this energy, and it's gold and silver for me. It's gold. And really silver. I pretty much was a silver maximist, I guess you could say at that point. I'm not maximist in whatever is meaning that is your one true thing, all your eggs in one basket kind of ideal. So I believe that the biggest silver maximist in the world, in my opinion, that I know of, and there could be some others that, of course, I don't know of, is Chris Duane of the Silver Shield. He owns that, and the Truth Never Told channel, I think it is. I think the biggest gold maximist, although there are probably others, would be Peter Schiff. And there's a bunch of Bitcoin maximalists, of course. But with that being said, and I think it was an American Chinese person, Tizen, I think, from 2016-17, who was talking all about that back then when I was watching those videos. But yeah, Bitcoin had this move. I was like, oh, what the heck is going on kind of deal. And then fantastic. I mean, going to 1,000 like this caught me off guard. But as it was going down, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be crashing. And it got to 2016, and it was really this mid-2016 when I started to notice, and this is mid-2016 in here, that it's correcting here successfully. Because after leaving the 18 average of highs here at this point, we came up to this, we established this resistance, and boy, did it ever establish it well. And to the point, when you establish it strong like this, it means when you break it, it gives you more crescence for how big it is. And when it broke it, look how good it did. And of course, this is going from like 460 up to like 700, then another leg higher thus after. You can see a successful correctionary phase, beautiful work within the 18, and then it breaks this resistance. And what do you expect? Well, previous high was this high in here. Of course, I pressed that button once and it didn't go. Now I'm pushing this right there. So as it was going, we can see we resisted back in January. And at this stage here, I'm really considering to go really serious. And of course, end of the early years, February on is when I got into Bitcoin. In February, of course, we can see the breakout when it broke this level of resistance. It was just a fantastic break. And really, when you break resistance line to the uptrend, it was right in here. That was a fantastic move. And the follow through that happened after that, of course, was an uptrend trend line of a much larger rate of ascent. I mean, and the two of them, like this one, and then this last move was a break of this trend line here. And that's normal with them. So if you ever hear people talk about the big moves happening at the end, well, this is a perfect example of such. And as this was going on, it literally got to the stage, starting right around like early April 1st even, I would literally write down how many Bitcoins I owned. Every single day in a little journal, like a counting journal, where they were. It wasn't until like middle of the year when I got into hardware wallets and stuff like that, because my balance early on was low enough where it wasn't too essential for me to care about putting it. But when it got up to this point, it got to a very, very high level. Currently, my bankroll is about 40% in cryptos as it was up here. I've sold a lot here and there, and I've had some fantastic moves, but it's also the highest it's been right now at this stage here since like back and somewhere in this breakdown period here. As it's higher than it's pretty. I think it's close. I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't write down every day. It was pretty much as it was in here, and it's interesting because during a lot of this time in here, I never even cared about. I didn't even look at my bankroll. I didn't calculate. I didn't care. I knew pretty much how of all the coins I own, of course. So the inventory of coins I cared a lot about. Yeah, I was like, whatever. I know it's going to go back up, hit or miss. I mean, I may take it a big chance with cryptos, and I'm glad, risk reward, I've managed to do so far. And then at this stage is in here. I got a new spreadsheet that I just made for it, and then things changed again, roughly right around in here. Now at this stage, altcoin volatility was at its weakest, and now cryptos from this point on have been very part-time and I've enjoyed it much. I trade less pairings and I still got a lot of pairings that I trade. I got theta like against like 6 or 8 different things. But I like to do it because I've been doing a lot of risk-reward management, trying to just beat the fantasy game, and a lot of things I just figured out. In fact, ways of beating games that I have no idea about. If you can have a 31% return on investment, so I made this little thing up yesterday. What it is, it's if you bet your entire bankroll on a situation, and this is designed for payouts, for like how fantasy works, where sometimes you'll win big, like a 10x return, or 5x, or 2x, 3x. Sometimes you win like 25 or 10% or 50%. Sometimes you'll lose 20%, 50, 80, all of your bets completely. And you're betting 5% on everything, and you start with 100 units. And the whole point is the more you bet, risk-reward management, this just shows you if you understand where taking higher risks sometimes is worth it. This is a situation. Now, getting 31% ROI is very difficult, and I think I can beat that number, which is why I use that as a conservative level. But and these numbers are going to get a lot higher. This is a terrible simulation, the fact that you only went from 100 to 440, 100 to 1100, 11 to 1983, and 100 to 2400. But what you can see in a losing situation, look at from period 25 games from 25 to 50. You're playing 200 different games. This could last you like a full hockey season is one example, because I talk about how we play this. And if you're able to find risk reward where you can do things like this, you can see if you bet 5% of your bankroll, you can see periods from 25 to 50 were losing. So you lost 164 to 142, but the recovery happened. There was another losing period here and another one here. So this one here lost, and it lost more. This one lost more, and really this one did as well. So the higher percentage ones are going to take the bigger hit. But what's going to always happen when we look at these is if you consistently go through and you always have that edge, especially a big monster edge, which I have in this game, then I realize, I wish I would have seen it. I guess you can pause the tape maybe, but I'll get more of them. This is a spot where you can see how monster the gains can be here when you parlay it through, starting 100 and turning it to 230,000. Here's a poor spot. And this is a spot where the 15% ended up beating the 20, and 5 and 10 still lost, but there's a lot of losing sessions, which was some bad ones. 111, 183. This is a bad one going from 183 to 144. So this one, 273, 164. We can see here 373 to 122, and then back down to 80. But it recovered. So this was a spot where you can see that the ultimate gains are going to come in, and that's why a lot of times when I do my betting, and I do this type of stuff all the time, and I do trade and do these things very computer-like, and it's very rewarding so far because, well, I mean, I know I'm very math-oriented, and I'm showing just a whole bunch of numbers, but you can see pretty much every single one of these times, and I haven't got a big one because I sort out for data where the numbers, there's a bad one, can be really big. There's one, but even one where it gets to 5 million on the left, and when the 15% gets to a million, that's when it gets interesting because my spacing gets off. There's a spot where we lose. So, and this is something to realize. This is where you have like a huge advantage, but there's going to be a 1 in 100 or 1 in 500 chance to get your ass kicked. And there might be one example of how you show, like even here, this is you barely win, and that's getting your ass kicked. But I mean, I was doing this. I got a bunch of rounding errors last night when I did this. I had probably 4 at this point, maybe, or 2 or 3. Okay, but overall, you can just see why is it not happening? What? Well, the way I programmed it is to do spaces so they always look nice, but I didn't do it if, say, for example, it got to a million on the 15%. Or whatever. Anyway, that is that. Let's just go to some other things that I like to do. And that is spreadsheet work. And this spreadsheet here is what I use to calculate standings. This is me right here, AG47. I mean, I wish I could recreate my name to a degree because the spelling of cap locks is wrong, but whatever, close enough. That just shows you how much I needed to learn still back in 2014 when I created this account. And I mean, back then in 2014, I knew about Bitcoin. I didn't give a shit about it. I was even thinking, you know what? Think of it like a poker tournament. I wish I would have thought of it more aggressively to it, or poker bankroll, having an online poker bankroll. Get in there trading and just try to build it up. Like don't do something just small. Start like $100 or something and just see what you can do with it. Who cares if you lose? I've had so many $100 plus losses, even $1,000 losses, where it's like, and in crypto is even bigger than that, of course. Now, where it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, it happens. Of course, I will just count many thousands that start with a number larger than 1. We'll say now. Okay, because a lot of my $1,000 losses that happened, and I can really only think of a couple on. We'll say poker because the most I've lost and ever put on stake, and I did lose that day, was $400 in fantasy hockey, and I lost about 90%. But anyway, back to the spreadsheet. So this is what I do. This is the place they finished in the username and the semi people were in. So I divide this number by this to get the ranking for how they do, and then I put a point structure in. So what I do is I enter the name. This is mine. I played 40 lineups. This is 2 different games. Pretty much just 20 lineups times 2. My net score was 42, which works out to 105. That's pretty much a return on investment. So yeah, I'm up. It was actually 90-something% that I gained. But this is a computer program that just gets a rough area of what it should be, based on how many times you finished in this top 0.28% of the field, which out of 40 lineups, I did 0 times, and I should have 0.11 times. 9 of my lineups actually hit the top 1.68, and law of averages only 2/3, a little over 2/3 the time I should hit it. That's fantastic. 9.5% of the time I did it 13, and I was only supposed to do it a little under 4. And 9 1/3 of the time I was supposed to do a min cash, which is 23.3% of the time. And what I can do in here is I can just take any random name, and let's just take somebody who probably I haven't seen yet before, who has like a 17 lineup. So I just took everybody who played 20 lineups both times, and I checked every single one of those players. Every single one. And let me just paste that name in here. So this player's got a score, good score, doing well in that he played with only 17 lineups that game, did very well. Got a 101 cash, so pretty much close to mine. Had 1 top end to finish, 3 very good finishes, 9 and 17 in here, beating all the numbers. The best score was Antonio, 597. Oh, no. Oh, score 100 is 597. Oh, yeah, that's 597 for the 100 score. That's even better, yeah. I mean, not much of a sample size. I just started doing this today. And then what I did is I calculated the score. So I'm in 4th place on today's session against everybody. I just learned how to win this game the day before. Literally. And then I just put it to action. $4. All this cost me. Each lineup is a dime. Because they call it the dime time. So, and everyone here played both games. One was available, then later on another one came available for the same amount of people. I put both lineups in each way, so it was a 20 cent per lineup basically. I had 20 different lineups played twice. And I think a lot of these guys would have done the similar things as well. But the fourth best score, and then Malos and some good scores here, but there are a lot of bad scores. In fact, negative 100 is the worst you can do, 100%. That means these users in here didn't even cash a single game. And the average score, they were down 21%, and it should be like close to negative 16 or 17 for the average person. So my thinking is a lot of these people are playing because, there's rewards for just getting action in. It's a low-stake game, so this is ways you can just crush the game. I mean, you can only put so much stakes on the board. I'll be curious to see how this works, like $5, $10, $20 games, because I am looking at very large stakes games for other sports and getting a lot of good information. I'm going to be one of the best golfers in the world probably by the end of next week or the week after. Fantasy golfers, that is. I did pretty good on my first day, which was last Wednesday, I think. And we're back into action on Monday. So a lot of fun things. And again, when you're trying to win in these types of games, I mean, I'm a math guy. I spent a lot of time in school learning computers and spreadsheets and stuff. I remember how cool it was back in the year. Okay, what year did I go to high school? Well, that year would have been either 1990 or 1991. Grade 10 or 11. And I'm in a class called, what was it called? It was information systems, but I don't know if there's another name for it. I mean, we used like a program like Word, a program like Excel back then. And before Excel, it was Lotus 1-2-3. It was before even then. But it was like, I was having lots of fun with it. It was so damn cool what I was doing. And yeah, I pretty much got addicted to computer programming. I did computer programming around that same time as well. But I got addicted to computer programming back in 1980. Okay, let's look at it. 87, I think I started doing it. Even late 86. And back in late 86, I was turning 11. So by 12 years old, thing is, back then when you actually bought like you got like a manual that was really good. And I know this computer was 2 years used or 1 or 2 years old. And there was just a lot of good books in there, maybe only 2 or 3. But one of them had like, 2 or 3 good pages of getting the basic programming down pat to the point where I'm able to do, of course, the programming like this. It's the same sort of programming, and I can show you the programming. Let me just go to it. And this is the open screen here that just gives you what's going on. And what happens is, basically, it's like 100 balls that come out in random. And one of the balls will give you a 10x gain, one will give you 5x, or 3 will give you 5x gain, 5 will give you 3x, 9 will give you 2x, 20 of them will give you a 50% gain, 17 will give you a 15% gain, 15 a 20% loss, 10 a 50% loss, 5 a 2/3 loss, 4 an 80% loss, and 4 a 100% loss, which works out to a 31% ROI. And I believe I can do 50 to 70 in baseball and hockey. And again, I'm learning other sports. I got League of Legends down. I have a few things I'm going to tweak on that one. And one of the things is seeing who's dominating, just try to follow their game and their meta. In fact, I am so huge now because I've been getting my ass kicked in basketball. And I know how to beat it now by doing the same thing. And I just want to find out what meta game they're using. In fact, one of my favorite ever nicknames, I got to go back to that spreadsheet, is played that game. It didn't do so well yesterday. So yeah, this is the code that I used to do all the calculations. A lot of it was just copy and pasting, putting new numbers in. So not as much of rewriting. And that's it. That's the code. Yeah, what else did I want to state? Yeah. Anyway, that should be about it. There's no reason for me to run it again because I already just went through the numbers. I'm just rambling at this point now that I'm at 35 minutes. I should bring it to an end. Overall, though, long-term analyses in here, I mean, this is, as I've been stating, this is going to get wild, I think. I believe having like this go 60, 80, 100,000 fast like we've seen in here. Big. And then as it's getting up to previous high and breaking it, sort of like it did here, that's when the altcoins went off. I mean, really interesting to see if a dartboard rally happens then, because if it does, oh boy, now I'm maybe an 8 I don't know if I can get to 8 figures. That's how sick it is, and I'm not even close to a millionaire. Not even close. But I'm doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.